Have you ever felt uneasy when they quietly withdraw, leaving you in an echoing void? Or tried desperately to find signs that would keep them close, only to be met with silence that pierces your trust? The moment you lose connection is precisely when you need to master the rules of the fearful, avoidant, and anxious, preoccupied attachment styles to break free from the painful draw, close, push away cycle. When your partner suddenly needs space, you don't have to turn that pain into blame. Understand that their retreat isn't a rejection of you, but a signal of their own inner struggle. Instead of spiraling into anxiety, learn to recognize each cue the moment they bow their head in silence. An opportunity to shift from panic to empathy, a sigh and a brief message, a reminder that everyone needs to recharge emotionally, a prolonged pause, not a refusal, but a chance to establish healthy boundaries. Transform fear into power with your words. I understand you need space right now, and I respect that. I'll be here when you're ready. A simple phrase that holds self-respect, doesn't cast blame, and still extends trust. This journey isn't for the faint of heart. You'll learn to uphold your self-worth, give and receive love in a secure, sustainable way. Don't let the chase abandon loop destroy your trust. If you're determined to flip the script on your love life, hit subscribe and ring the notification bell. Watch to the end to arm yourself with the secrets to maintaining boundaries and opening your heart deeply to someone worthy. From the very first moment, the fearful-avoidant, FA, and anxious-preoccupied, AP, attachment styles are like two powerful emotional magnets drawn irresistibly together. The AP partner experiences the warmth, care, and validation they've long craved. Meanwhile, the FA, carrying both a deep longing for love and a profound fear of getting hurt, is compelled to open up and give a fleeting sense of safety in return. They share intense moments of connection late-night conversations that delve into vulnerabilities, bold text messages affirming their feelings, and promises of a shared future that each truly believes will come to pass. Yet, it is precisely this overinvestment of emotion that sows the seeds of imbalance. Barely past the initial euphoria of reciprocal affection, the FA begins to feel that their sense of self is being eclipsed by the relationship. Rather than normalizing the sharing of emotional bandwidth and personal needs, they panic at the prospect that their emotional reserves might deplete and only they know how to recharge, whether through solitude or private pursuits. As the FA withdraws, slowing their response rate and perhaps vanishing for hours to safeguard their personal space, the AP immediately experiences abandonment. This isn't mere disappointment, it morphs into acute anxiety, driving AP's frantic attempts to draw FA back, incessant check-in messages, emotional phone calls, or even in-person visits, pleading for reassurance and commitment. Ironically, each of these efforts by AP only heightens FA's stress, as they interpret such attempts as demands that violate their personal boundaries, intensifying the FA's urge to retreat even further. Tension escalates like wildfire across dry grass. The FA internally justifies, "They want too much. I'm being sucked into an entanglement I can't handle," while the AP concludes, "They don't care about me anymore. I must have done something wrong." Thus, the physical and emotional gap between them widens. FA fortifies their safe haven of avoidance with each withdrawal, and AP loses confidence, willing to sacrifice their own needs just to cling to the relationship. It becomes an endless loop of push and pull, where a single sigh or text message carries world-shattering weight. What began as a profound bonding of two hearts on a solid foundation swiftly transforms into a cruel game. FA slams the door shut, while AP scrambles to pick the lock. Understanding this initial phase, a powerful connection that rapidly spirals into disequilibrium, is critical to grasping why relationships can ignite so passionately, only to implode just as fast. One partner becomes overwhelmed and protects themselves, while the other panics and struggles to release. By clearly identifying this great bond, swift imbalance stage, you can proactively intervene, set healthy boundaries, and transform crisis-driven energies into opportunities for personal growth and secure communication in the future. Having pulled back the curtain on that initial phase of intense connection, rapidly tipping into disequilibrium, We now must confront the core fault line, the divergent needs and attachment blueprints of FA and AP that act as the tectonic plates driving seismic shifts in their relationship. The fearful avoidant, FA, carries within them both a longing for love and an acute dread of boundary, invasion of dread that triggers an irrepressible need to retreat into solitude, to replenish inner reserves, to recharge emotionally without the burden of sustaining the relationship's momentum. Tragically, FA often lacks the tools or confidence to articulate this essential need, fearing that admitting, "I'm overwhelmed, I need space," will expose vulnerabilities that risk further alienation. In stark contrast, the anxious-preoccupied AP finds emotional safety through continuous proximity. For AP, each conversation, each reaction, each reassurance acts as a balm against abandonment fears, and they have no psychological off switch to unplug, even when FA is silently pleading for solitude. AP assumes that more closeness equals more security, interpreting FA's temporary silence or withdrawal as direct rejection, a threat to their very self-worth. When FA pulls back, slow replies to texts, skipped calls, unexplained absences, AP's anxiety circuitry ignites, racing heart, spiraling doubts about being permanently left behind, frantic efforts to self-soothe through an onslaught of messages, calls, or questions like, "Are you okay?" or "Why aren't you responding?" When expected reassurances don't come swiftly enough, AP's panic can morph into criticism or demands. "Am I not important enough for you to make time? If you love me, why are you silent?" These accusatory words, though born of terror, land like blows against FA's fragile sense of safety. FA, haunted by past betrayals, perceives them as violations of boundaries and instantly flips into protective withdrawal, retreating further with each unread message and missed call. As the gulf widens, AP's desperation intensifies, while FA's conviction grows stronger that their partner is an insurmountable burden. Even more tragically, neither sees the full picture of the other's pain. FA cannot fathom why AP descends into panic over what seems to them a reasonable need for time alone. AP cannot imagine why FA freezes almost instantly, leaving them feeling as though they've slipped through the crack. Thus, these polar needs, one for withdrawal to feel safe, the other for cling to survive, create two opposing forces that perpetually push and pull. Without learning to listen and respond to each other's needs on equal and respectful footing, the same damaging cycle of retreat and chase plays on repeat. It's not about who's right or wrong, but about two people operating from fundamentally different internal maps. FA fleeing under pressure, AP in hot pursuit when connection wanes. Gaining a deep awareness of these attachment styles and their specific needs lays the groundwork for moving from misinterpretation to empathy, from conflict to collaboration, and ultimately paves the way for secure communication and healthy boundary setting. Once the divergent needs and attachment models of FA and AP have been clearly identified, we move into the third phase where misunderstandings multiply and create a self-perpetuating negative loop. The fearful-avoidant, FA, carrying a deep fear of being overdemanded and of personal boundaries being violated, starts to feel unseen and disrespected. In their eyes, every reassurance or closeness-seeking request from the anxious-preoccupied AP becomes proof that this relationship is binding me too tightly. From there, FA develops a breach of trust. They believe their partner fails to grasp their inner fears and is singularly focused on closeness at the expense of all other values, including respect for personal space. On the AP side, when FA withdraws, AP immediately feels abandoned and utterly terrified. The fear of disconnection makes them unable to stay silent. Instead, they intensify efforts to force FA to explain themselves and to secure definitive promises. Yet, these very attempts at solace only burden FA further, as each plea reminds them of an unsettled emotional debt, prompting them to retreat even deeper into their protective shell. Neither FA nor AP intends to hurt. The other FA does not reject the love, and AP is not being selfish, but both act out of their own wound-based patterns. FA flees when overwhelmed. AP clings when feeling unsafe. This whirlpool spins faster and stronger each time they fail to recognize that reality often contradicts perception. FA is not cold-hearted or hate-filled, but seeking self-healing. AP is not merely demanding or selfish, but searching for an emotional anchor to maintain stability. In each tense moment, absent profound understanding and skillful communication, they can easily fall into the maze of justifying their own behavior and conclude that the other doesn't care or cares too much. Such rushed judgments widen the chasm, reinforce false beliefs, and make true intimacy almost impossible. Only when both FA and AP see that this loop arises from pain and the unconscious operating modes of their attachment styles can they pause, breathe, and choose to regard each other with compassion. Only then can they shift from instinctive reactions to conscious actions. FA learning to say, I need to step back for a moment to preserve my inner peace, and AP learning to hear that as a request rather than a rejection, jointly creating a new communication agreement tone in which reassurance and boundary respect go hand in hand. At that point, the negative loop is broken and replaced by a symbiotic cycle. Each period of distance becomes an opportunity for restoration. Each reunion a chance to forge a safer, more enduring bond. Following the turbulent third phase of misunderstandings and negative loops, we now embark on the most transformative section, how to heal and sustain a lasting connection between the fearful-avoidant, FA, and the anxious-preoccupied, AP. First and foremost, both partners must courageously confront their core wounds. FA must acknowledge their fear of losing autonomy and concerns over personal boundaries, while AP needs to recognize their fear of disconnection and over-reliance on external validation. Once these wounds are identified, the initial step is to learn to articulate emotions verbally. Instead of resorting to passive withdrawal or frantic clinging, both FA and AP should express, I feel, I need, and I'm afraid, thereby providing clarity for the other to truly understand the issue. Next, they must practice healthy, need-based communication, avoiding blame or criticism and instead using affirming language coupled with solution-focused proposals. For instance, AP might say, when you stay silent for a long time, I feel anxious. Could you let me know how long I can wait? While FA might respond, I need 3 hours to recharge. After that, I will call you so we can reconnect. Concurrently, setting and honoring clear boundaries is indispensable. FA must clearly state their limits, such as the time alone required and the acceptable level of engagement, while AP commits to respecting these boundaries even amid emotional distress. Simultaneously, both must cultivate the skill of not personalizing the other's behavior. AP should understand that FA's withdrawal is not a personal indictment or rejection, and FA must realize that AP's efforts to close the distance are not attempts at control, but cries for reassurance. Finally, for the relationship to genuinely become a source of mutual support, FA and AP should collaboratively adjust expectations. They should avoid demanding a complete change in one another and instead build support upon each other's strengths and limitations. They can agree on communication frequency, define the method for requesting personal space, schedule time together, or even draft a relationship agreement spoken or written to transform emotional reactions into opportunities for new agreements. Once these steps are integrated coherently, the relationship ceases to be a tug-of-war and instead evolves into a journey of partnership. FA and AP will no longer mechanically retreat or pursue, but engage in an ongoing exchange of pausing to replenish energy and meeting with deeper, more deliberate connection. This is the path to healing and sustaining connection, a safe cycle in which brief distances become catalysts for forging more profound, enduring bonds. On this journey from intense connection to imbalance, through understanding divergent needs and breaking negative loops toward healing, we've uncovered how FA and AP can lose their way within their own relationship. But the most crucial insight is this: every step forward starts with awareness and courage. Recognizing core wounds frees you from reactive pain. Courageously expressing your feelings and setting clear boundaries turns conflict into understanding, And compassion, when you refrain from personalizing your partner's behavior, converts every clash into an opportunity to build trust. Remember, secure connection isn't a final destination, but an ongoing process of two people consciously adjusting needs and extending mutual respect. When FA dares to say, "I need space to recharge," and AP hears it as, "I understand and support you," you lay the foundation for a resilient, fulfilling partnership. If you found this journey helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss upcoming videos, where we'll dive deeper into advanced communication skills and building lasting security. Watch until the end to unlock more practical tools and take action today. You deserve a loving relationship that honors both connection and your self-worth.